Azure Storage provides a comprehensive set of security capabilities that together enable developers to build secure applications. In this lesson, we will focus on storage encryption, access control for a storage account, and authorization options. Let's see the security capabilities for Azure Storage at a high level. By default, all data written to Azure Storage is automatically encrypted using storage service encryption. Azure Active Directory and role-based access control are supported for Azure Storage authentication for both resource management operation and data operations. You can assign RBAC role scope to the storage account to security principal and use Azure AD to authorize resource management operations such as key management. An Azure AD integration is supported for data operation on the blob and queue services. Data can be secured in transit between an application and Azure by using client-side encryption, HTTPS, or SMP3. OS and data disk used by Azure Virtual Machine can be encrypted using Azure Disk Encryption. Delegated access to the data objects in Azure Storage can be granted using shared access signature. Every request made against a secured resource in the blob, file, or queue service must be authorized. Authorization ensures that resources in your storage account are accessible only when you want them to be, and only to those users or applications to whom you grant access. Let's see now the different options for authorizing requests to Azure Storage. Azure Storage provides integration with Azure Active Directory for identity-based authorization of requests to the blob and queue services. With Azure AD, you can use role-based access control to grant access to blob and queue resources to users, groups, or applications. Azure Files supports identity-based authorization over server message block SMB through Azure Active Directory domain services and traditional Active Directory. You can use RBAC for fine-grained control over a client's access to Azure Files resources in a storage account. Shared key authorization relies on your account access keys and other parameters to produce an encrypted signature string that is passed on via the request in the authorization header. A shared access signature is a URI that grants restricted access right to Azure Storage resources. You can provide a shared access signature to clients who should not be trusted with your storage account key, but to whom you wish to delegate access to certain storage account resources. So by distributing a shared access signature URI to these clients, you can grant them access to a resource for a specified period with a specified set of permissions. You can also enable anonymous public read access to a container and its blobs in Azure Blob Storage. By doing so, you can grant read-only access to these resources without sharing your account key and without requiring a shared access signatures. Public read access is best for scenarios where you want certain blobs to always be available for anonymous read access. Where possible, use authorizing applications that access Azure Storage using Azure Active Directory. It provides better security and ease of use over other authorization options.